We must use stealth and cunning to infiltrate the human world and retrieve Go-Gurt.
Okay, Batman.
Dude, what? I'm just trying to hype you guys up.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. It has clearly taken critics and audiences by storm. I have it pulled up right now. Currently has 96% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics and 92% from audiences. Not doing terribly hot at the box office, but still, like, critics and audiences are loving this. And right now I am here with Kevin the Critic, and he and I actually ended up having about the same reaction. Kevin, if you don't mind, let's both give our reaction about the same time in the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Is
Okay. It's an animated movie with the Ninja Turtles in it that you can take your kids to.
One step above Michael Bay.
I think that might be one reason why some people are giving this higher praise, is because the Michael Bay ones are hated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people really, really don't like those movies. I'm not gonna step in and like defend them that much, but I think part of the praise for this is, well, it's not the Michael Bay movies.
Right. Out of the Shadows got a little bit of leniency, but yeah, definitely the 2014 film. Like, you just say Megan Fox is April O'Neil. That sounds like a Robot Chicken sketch.
Well, and I remember, like, in my original review for that film, I remember that I had I'm pretty sure that I praised Megan Fox in that, and I still hold that. I think she does about as well as she can in that, even though there's no story there. Yeah, and then the Out of the Shadows got a bit better reception because it was more like the cartoon. But overall, I think people were burned by those movies. The second one didn't do very well, and so now they're trying again with a totally new approach, which I think a new approach was needed. The idea of going animated with it again is also a good idea, because these are 4 mutant turtles,
right,
who fight mutant enemies and a secret ninja clan, and that's an idea that's going to be easier to do in animation, just easier to go with in animation.
The fact that there are 5 live action films and only 2 animated films is mind blowing now that you bring that up.
And yeah, I would say, like, yeah, the animated ones, they definitely try to do more.
Right.
Because they don't have the limitations of, well, having them fight a giant possessed statue costs money, or having them fight a giant mutant fly costs money. And so, yeah, I think the idea to go animated again with this, it was a good one. And that animation style is still very, very new, fresh, and exciting right now. And so I think that's another thing that's being...
That's one minor reason I would think of, is that the 2D, 3D hybrid that's been going on with Spider-Verse and Puss in Boots, as well as, I would make the argument, animated action is just, like, increasingly popular nowadays. I have one big reason why I think critics and audiences love this, but first let's talk for a second about what we liked about the film.
Okay. Yeah, you can go first. My list is shorter.
All right. First of all, I do like the fact that the turtles actually sound like teenagers. Like, the turtles have always, like, you call them Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they always sound like at least 18. Like, unless you're going for 18, like, they're obviously not teenagers. Like, these guys, you know, Donatello sounds like he's in middle school, but the rest of them sound like the usual high school students that you would at least the ones you would see in animated movies. I also personally like how creative they get with the mutants in this. Like I don't know if you've been tracking, but this is the most amount of mutants that we've seen in a Ninja Turtles movie. Like, Secret of the Ooze had 2. They turned out to be babies. Like, Out of the Shadows had Bebop and Rocksteady. That was kind of a dumb interpretation. One that I actually have yet to see is actually Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I've heard that actually gets, like, really creative with the ooze. Like, as soon as I heard what the catch was with that, I was like, suddenly this went from totally random to totally awesome.
Well, you know? I didn't see the Batman versus Ninja Turtles movie either, but I mean, if they do something, I mean, it sounds fun just as a concept. Like, what would happen if Batman and the Ninja Turtles teamed up with each other? They're both kind of dark properties, and so, but like, you can still have fun with them. And so having more fun with the two of them.
I also thought whenever the action did pop up, it was pretty awesome. And I really love the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. The track Murder the Shreks in particular is one that I, especially today prepping up for this discussion, like had on loop in my car, basically. It's that part where they're in the garage and they're fighting all those guys. Like
that was a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll say that. Like that was that was an interesting sequence in and of itself. So for what I liked about it, I agree with you that I thought it was good that like individually they've clearly got teenagers voicing them. I agree with you. Like Donatello sounds like he should be like the middle school Ninja Turtle. Like it's not, and the performance is fine, but like everybody else, they've got like that kind of median voice that you have when you're like 13 or 14, and he still sounds like he's 10 years old to me. So yeah, I appreciate that they got like teenagers to make them sound like that. And then I was surprised that I liked this interpretation of April O'Neil. I liked her in that she's a high school student that's trying to get into reporting. We haven't seen that before. And so that was kind of interesting. I liked Ice Cube a lot as Superfly. He was the most entertaining part of this.
I thought that voice sounded familiar.
And then like the moment he came in, because like I had just watched a ride along like last week, and so when he came in, and I had forgotten that he was in it, and so when he comes on, I was like, all right, great. And almost everything out of his mouth, I was smiling at or laughing at.
What the? Y'all some little tortoises, huh?
I can't believe there are other mutants.
You want to roll with us?
Whenever he was on, I'm like, all right, I'm into this for him, just because of how entertaining I think he is. And then, you know, voice cast overall, they got some good people here. Like I smiled hearing Rose Byrne come out of this one of the mutants, and then it took me half the movie to realize that either Bebop or Rocksteady was John Cena. That was fun. Like him and Seth Rogen teamed up together I wish that they had highlighted that.
I did recognize Seth Rogen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like it's Seth Rogen. I recognize immediately just because he's got one of the most distinctive voices out there. But like, yeah, I like the cast they got. I thought that some of the music. I thought that like the score itself was good, and I think that there are jokes in here that made me laugh. Like it wasn't consistent, but there were enough jokes that were having me going like, or like I was laughing, like I was having an all right time. Yeah, when they did have jokes that made me laugh, I'm like, okay, there's good stuff in here. I just wish there was more of it.
Overall, I feel like the film had like a childlike spirit that was, you know, I'll get into what exactly it was missing later on, but it definitely felt charming. It felt riveting. It felt exciting. It felt colorful. I can't go as far as to say that I didn't enjoy the film, mostly because of that. But there were some issues, so we'll go into what we didn't love about the film. First thing I'll say, I actually did not like this version of Splinter.
Oh no, I hated him. I thought he sucked. Like I don't think Jackie Chan's voice performance I thought was extremely stilted, and the way that he was written, I was like, I kind of hate you. Like I get why he feels the way he does, but it felt so tired to me. I'm like, oh come on, this again? Like we're going like I had one bad experience, and so I'm gonna like, oh my god. And then Superfly's motivation is that exact same thing. Only again, with him, I get more because like he was a kid when this happened to him. I'm like, okay. I thought Splinter's characterization here made him extremely unlikable, and you know, he didn't work for me. I thought
everything from his design to his motivation to his personality is just
bad.
It gives the vibe of like overprotective, goofy, and just, you know, stereotypical like overprotective dad. Like,
the design, like the design of him, like the way that he would move. I was like, this is not. I'm not entertained by even when he's just sitting there in his chair. I'm like, what is it? Why does he look like this? Like he doesn't look this. His design doesn't match how everybody else's design looks in the movie. Like everybody else almost looks like a comic book panel that's come off of the page and is moving around, and he just looks like a GIF or something that is sitting there. It's very weird in his design. And his personality is one-dimensional. Like, I don't like humans. I don't like humans. Do you get it? I don't like humans. Like, yes, I get it. What else is there to you?
The animation in general was the intention of that was to basically like the same way that Spider-Verse brings a comic book to life or Puss in Boots brings a storybook to life. The idea of this is to replicate like drawings that kids would make of the Ninja Turtles, and so I get that approach. That is kind of a charming approach conceptually.
Yeah, conceptually. Yeah, like conceptually,
execution wise,
its work. Yeah, execution. No.
There's actually an episode of Rugrats that actually uses this style a little bit better in the hand-drawn era, where the children try to make like their own home movies, and they like draw out and and those kid drawings of theirs like come to life. That works better in hand-drawn animation. It doesn't really translate that well to the 2D 3D hybrid.
I thought the entire like the animation on this, that never registered with me at all, that they were trying to make it look like this is how kids would draw these things.
I read it off a discussing film, basically.
Okay. Yeah. So I didn't see that. So I was sitting there going like, why does it look like this? Like, what is the aesthetic that they're going for here? Because this is the first time I've looked at this kind of this 2D 3D hybrid style and felt just kind of like put off by it. And it's like,
likewise.
It's like, look, I love the way Spider-Verse movies look visually. I love how Puss in Boots: Last Wish looks visually. Like, it works really well. This is the first time I've seen this style where I was like, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look very appealing to me.
The biggest problem that I have, it's gonna sound weird, but I don't like the way they handled like hairs in this. Whether it's like body hair or hair on the head. Like when you look at the fur on Puss in Boots, it's like when he's like up in the air or like in some sort of breeze or something, you see his fur like flutter. All the hairs in this are kind of still.
Yeah, I noticed. You know what? I noticed that too. Where it was like they're like jumping around and kicking and doing all this action. I'm like, I don't see any movement on their bodies. Like, there's a bit where Splinter is like, so Splinter gets an action scene in here that is supposed to be really, really cool. And I'm sitting there watching it going, yeah, his body's not moving how it should. Like, none of the hair is moving to reflect him flipping around the air or doing it. So yeah, like little details like that. I don't know why they didn't recognize it. Like, why don't you try and make it move? Like, I know I'm not an animation guy. I don't know what the process of that is, but not doing that.
Especially
weird.
especially this hybrid style. I'm not sure how many people know how this process works.
Yeah, because it's still new. Like, we've only been using it for like probably half a decade now. I think Into the
something
Spider-Verse,
like that.
I think Into the Spider-Verse is like the first full length film to use it, and so it's still a young thing that they're doing. But yeah, I didn't even recognize that. Like the hair's not moving. Just the way that hair wouldn't move at all on anyone. It was weird.
It started to register with me with Superfly, and I think there was some sort of close up of April's hair where I was just like, how much hair gel are you guys using, and why are you using it on your body hair?
This is something that a colleague of ours brought up, is that so April O'Neil's design, she looks like a 30-year-old.
Right.
Like, her face looks like a 30-year-old. Like, I honestly did not know that she was a high school student until the character said that. Because I was thinking she registered to me as like an adult character, which I was like, wait, why are the turtles who are clearly teenagers in this version going to talk to, oh, wait, she's not an adult.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. And then, the visual look of it's weird. I don't understand why they wouldn't make the hairs move. And then my biggest issue, like, honestly, the biggest issue I had with this was that I think that the script for this I think there's an outline for a story here, but there's no depth to it whatsoever. Like, everything just happens so fast. It's like, okay, well, the Turtles were created and Superfly was created and they feel lonely. And doesn't it suck that they feel lonely? And then they meet April, and then April makes friends with them, and then they got to be Superfly, and that's the last half of the movie. And so it's like the pacing's not good here. Everything happens too quickly, and so nothing resonates. Like I didn't get a feel. A lot of people I've seen are talking about like, this encapsulates what it's like to feel alone and isolated. And I'm sitting there and I'm going like, they talk about it once.
Right.
I didn't feel like feel like they were lonely. I feel like the other, I mean, not to a great extent, like the other movies didn't do an awesome job with this either. But the other movies at least showed more of that. Like they weren't about that, but I got more of a sense of like, okay, they're alone in the 1991, where it's like they have to be in the sewer all the time. You know, Raph is angsty about, you know, like he wants to help people, but the whole thing of like them being monsters, that's been kind of done before. And so, yeah, the whole emotional crux of this thing being them wanting to be accepted by society, I don't think that they mind that very much like they thought they did.
Not just the animation, but I feel like the whole, I feel like everything from the writing to the characters.
The writing of it. Like, yeah, the writing of this, it's like
childish.
It's too childish. Like, you know, honestly, it feels like the writers of this saw Shrek, the first Shrek, and said, okay, we want to make a movie that's going to be really childish, but also be funny for adults too. So we're going to throw in mild swearing.
I'm not even sure if they were going for that.
Well, it just reminded me, like, this is what Shrek would have been if it didn't work. Where you've got this very childish writing, and it's adult because we're having Superfly swear sometimes.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, is this for 6-year-olds or not? Because I'm sitting here watching it, feeling like I felt like I was watching a television pilot in a movie theater.
I got more of the vibe of like, this is like a big budget cinematic, like children's fan fiction, essentially.
Oh yeah,
this is like,
or that too. That works too. And I was like, I'm like, man, this is Seth Rogen, who I know is a better writer than this, just coming up with whatever fan fiction-y stuff for the Turtles that he can. And I know like him and his writing partner had like 3 other guys working on with this, but I felt like they don't know how to write for a kids movie. And so their idea constantly is throw in a pop culture reference, throw in a pop culture reference, throw in a pop culture. I'm like by the end of this, I was like, I never want to hear another pop culture reference in another cartoon ever again, because every other line of this is some reference to some thing that's popular right now.
It's not even really like that deep or integrated pop culture references. It's like, it's like Mark Ruffalo. Like just throwing Mark Ruffalo from Avengers Endgame.
Again, and I hate to say this because I know that actual human writers wrote this, but it almost is like, this is when AI thinks humans talk like. Throw in a pop culture reference to something or some movie where it's like, okay, yeah, Avengers Endgame. Remember that, guys? Hey, Splinter doesn't know how to work his Roku. Do you have streaming down in the sewer? I'm like,
pull up 3 celebrities named Chris.
Oh my god! Like, it got
about that part.
Oh, it got so annoying. It got so irritating to me. Just sitting there going like, this is really your best attempt to engage me as an adult, is like just having them reference stuff. I mean, it just felt, and again, like the Turtles movies, they've had pop culture references before. So I'm not gonna say this isn't the first one that's done it. They've had pop culture references before, but not to this level.
This one has better pop culture references than Ninja Turtles 3 from the 90s.
Like there's one cringy bit where Donatello's like, "What, you were expecting the Addams Family?"
Yeah,
like, no, like that doesn't even make sense. Why would you? It's like, again, some of the references made me laugh in the moment, but I was like, these are gonna date this movie. Like in 20 years, are people still going to be talking about Avengers Endgame or the multiple Chris's joke?
Right.
Or again, it's like, I think this movie was my breaking point with pop culture references because it was like, there's so many of them, and I didn't notice a ton of other kinds of humor in here. So it was like, okay. I mean, again, Ice Cube is funny because I think he's just a naturally funny guy. But yeah, most of the Turtles dialogue was just them referencing stuff and talking over each other, which, again, I know teenagers do that, so it's authentic to that, but listening to it for 99 minutes...
Almost forgets the fact that they're not very good ninjas.
No. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. I was thinking like this is called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Are we gonna see any ninja stuff going on in this?
Like
No?
they didn't even like they're teenagers, so I give them a little bit of leniency, but they didn't even attempt once to like act from the shadows.
No, they didn't. I mean, that's the thing. I'm like, what is Splinter teaching you guys? Like, is he teaching you
All the
anything other-
Chris's.
he's teaching like all the Chris's. I mean, okay, so I will say I liked the bit when it's flashing back to their backstory and they go up and it's like 1990s New York or something. Like that was kind of nice before people started throwing bricks at Splinter's face. But it was like when the movie has some quiet moments in the first half that I was like, okay, this might go somewhere. This might be something. And then
Maybe
they
a few
stop.
tender moments in the second half.
Well, okay, and then like the ending of it when the humans help them. Sorry, spoiler. Like, there's a pit where humans help them that I thought was a sweet moment. So yeah, I didn't. But overall, it hit me like, where have I seen this before? And then somebody else pointed out like, this is the story of the first X-Men from 2000. It's just like, yeah, like that's what it is. The story of it felt very familiar, which surprises me given that this comes from, again, Seth Rogen and the guy who did Mitchell's versus the Machines, which had a very unique story and was funny, and I thought hit its emotional beat. So it was just very like, and yeah, I didn't even realize the guy who did Mitchell's did this while I was watching it. But once I did, I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand why this one is getting. Maybe
it's just because Seth Rogen had a little more involvement with this, but this actually felt like less personal to me than Mitchell's versus the Machines. Like,
yeah, it felt a lot less personal. It felt very like corporate mandated.
Which, going back to the Seth Rogen angle, though, I do think that there's one big reason to me why critics and audiences love this. Like, aside from possibly arguably the 1990 movie, the first one. This is actually the first Ninja Turtles movie to be portrayed as like a love letter. Like all the rest of the Ninja Turtles movies are essentially like commercials. Like they were made by studios, they were manufactured by studios. This one at least has some semblance of passion to it, some semblance of like of charm to it. Like, and this is the first one to be like, we're not just making this for a product, we're out of something that we loved as a kid. I got a little bit of that, like probably again, like early on, I was more with it. I think because it's like, okay, again, I was getting used to it's nice that they have actual teenagers voicing them, and the dynamic between those four teenagers is kind of fun for a while. And like, I think again, like the thing in the trailer where they're recording each other just practicing their ninja stars, that was cute. I got maybe like this is a love letter in terms of like, this is what it felt like watching this as kids, maybe. Like I could see it from that angle. Like we're gonna make a Ninja Turtles movie that feels like how it felt to us when we were watching it when we were kids. I don't know. It's just, and again, I'm in the minority. I'm not really loving this, which was like, I've seen so many people say like, this is so emotional and hilarious and sweet and all this stuff. And I was like, did I see a different kind of movie than you guys? It's more childish than it is funny, and it is more melodramatic than it is emotional.
Yeah, like
I'm with you there.
Yeah, like the melodrama. Like they had this joke. They had a running joke where it was like, you're gonna get milked in a lab, and I thought that was funny.
I didn't even understand that at first. Well, I'm not even sure if I understand it now.
I thought it was funny when they did it the first time, just because of how random it was, and then they kept doing it where I was like, okay, now you're just, oh yeah, and then like, we don't have nipples. I was like, okay, funny once, but why do we keep going back to that? And then it did make me smile when they were actually milked in a lab. I was like, wow, you guys really dedicate yourselves to that joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just weird. Like, I don't know, like I went in excited. Like, I've been a Ninja Turtles fan since I was a kid, and I was excited about seeing a new one, especially with animation, which I think is a better medium for this property than live action is. And I was like, man, this isn't.
It's not grabbing.
it's not grabbing me. I'm like, I know this is supposed to be a launching pad for a Paramount Plus show, and that's all fine and good. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just wondering, like, why isn't this a Paramount Plus original movie if it's connecting to the show? Why are we doing this here?
Side topic, it's like, didn't last year they announced that they were going to do more Paramount Plus movies than theatrical releases, and then all of a sudden, not only are they releasing this in theaters, but then also a Paw Patrol movie which the first one released on Paramount Plus.
Yeah. Oh no. So I saw the Paw Patrol trailer in front of this, and
so
I was like, oh no, I hope this isn't a sign of things to come.
Right.
And just in terms of like who they're aiming this at, they're like, why would they be putting Paw Patrol in front of this? They're like, because this is kiddish, like really kiddish.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't mind the kiddish stuff, and I definitely got more of the love letter vibes. But where I think this film was definitely lacking, why I couldn't really get into it as much, is I feel like it kind of lacks. It's gonna sound strange. I feel like it lacks sort of like a human touch, like a human element to it.
It absolutely does. Like I don't like. That's why I liked April O'Neil the best, because she was the human element of the movie. Where I'm like, okay. She messed up on the morning announcement. She wants to be a reporter and get her reputation back. They didn't give the turtles distinct enough human personalities for me to be invested in them. Like there's not.
But they're turtles. They're not supposed to be human. Like
okay. Well, there's 4 of them, and they're the lead of the movie. So I'd like if at least one of them had any arc of any kind. The thing, I was like, if I had walked in here without watching anything in here before, I would have been like, you got the purple one with the glasses on, and the orange one, and the red one, and the blue one. I can't tell who's who because you don't distinguish them that much.
I mean, heck, the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles were more distinguished.
Yeah, they were. It's like, okay, so again, like, Donnie has glasses. I guess that's the one trait that they had to keep from the Michael Bay one. But yeah, it was like, if I can tell the Turtles apart more in the Bay movies than I can in your movie, it's like,
what is going on?
What's wrong? Like,
but no, I was thinking back to the Lego movie, which was also like a love letter towards Legos.
Oh yeah,
and it wasn't just like a childish ploy of like these Legos are all gathering together and doing all this weird crap to try and stop the evil bad guy from freezing everybody. No, it connected back to this very emotional, very human story about a boy trying to reconnect with his father.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, even like Lego, and I would say even like to a lesser extent, even Barbie kind of did that.
I was actually just gonna bring that up.
Where I was like, okay, I didn't, again, I thought Barbie was pretty good, not like my initial 5-star rating went down after some thought about it, but I was like, I still enjoyed the movie. But again, I feel like those 2 movies were more love letters to their products. Like, there was more of a human touch to both of those movies.
Yeah, it's like Mutant Mayhem is basically like the Barbie movie if it didn't go back to the human world or have that incredible monologue from the mother. Like, yeah,
like if it didn't. Yeah, like if it just stayed, if Barbie was just how it is presented to you in the first 5 minutes, where everything is perfect, and Barbie's getting dressed, and all the Kens are standing there, and that was all the movie was. That's what that's what this felt like. I was like, yep, this is what I consider to be a kids movie in 2023. We have recognizable characters saying pop culture sayings over an overdone hip hop soundtrack. Again, not the music itself, just like the songs they used. I'm getting a little frustrated with like hip hop being put into all these kids soundtracks.
Right.
It's just kind of like, okay, who decided this? Like the songs themselves aren't bad. It's just why? I don't get what it adds to the flavor of this movie. Like, with Transformers Rise of the Beast, for example, I thought that movie used its hip-hop soundtrack to add some mood to it, to go with like the city location in the first half.
Now I gotta see that one.
Oh yeah, I thought it was fun. Nothing great, but I thought it was fun. But yeah, like that one I thought was a better use of its soundtrack. This, I was like, oh yeah, we need to put hip hop on the soundtrack because that's what we do now in the 2020s, and that again, some of the soundtracks are good, but yeah, like the music by Atticus Ross and
Trent
Reznor, like that stuff was better to me than any of the songs that they used in here.
Now, are we necessarily saying that the turtles should have like leaped out of a piece of notebook paper and then like talked to some humans? They could have done that. They could have done that, but they didn't need to. What it was definitely missing is it should have paired its childlike spirit with a more mature threat. Like
I agree. Like Superfly, the moment he comes in, I couldn't take him seriously because in the way he's written, he's always like joking a lot to where it's like, okay, well, if he's just going to be here cracking jokes, then, I mean, yeah, he's a criminal. Obviously, he's doing bad stuff, but like he's not a viable threat to them. And for so much of the movie, like, and the movie doesn't even allow us to sympathize with his point of view. It's just like, we just drop it in like, oh yeah, I hate humans because humans were bad to me. Feel bad for me. I'm like, okay, you have to have him actually talk about that more than just saying it.
Tenet's villain had a more mature motivation than that.
I don't even remember what Tenet's villain's motivation was, but I'm gonna agree with you.
The line was, "If I can't have it, no one can."
You know what? Okay, well, you know what? I'll take that because at least in that, it's like, I'll take it. That's a spy movie villain thing to do. If I can't have it, no one can. But yeah, in this, again, like you're trying to have this, it just felt like, hey, kids' movies talk about feeling isolated and prejudiced against now. We should put that in our movie. We're not going to say anything about it or really go into it. We're just going to say it. It's like, okay.
And again, if this was like 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, where like, you know, some adults might not get into it, but your kids are gonna love it. That's fine. We're just trying to scratch our heads thinking about what 96%.
Yeah, and then the thing, like there were 3 kids who were in my theater with me who were like 8 years old. They were having a great time with this. So like, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything in here that's like kids are gonna love this. And the thing, I felt watching this like, if I was still 10 years old and I saw this, I would go nuts for it. But I'm 28, and so it's like...
I'm trying to find the average rating for those who are going to put that in my face. Like, oh, you're not supposed to look at the percentage. You're supposed to look at the average rating, but I can't seem to find it.
And the thing, like, it's just weird to me that so many are like liking this one when I thought the 1990 one did a better job of having a more mature threat with goofy humor integrated into it. Again, I'm not going to say that that's not a perfect movie either, but I feel like that one does better at combining the seriousness with the childishness. And even the 2007 one, which is a darker than usual kind of kids movie, it's like, okay, they're taking that more seriously, but they commit to that. And so this one, it's very, very, very childish. The childish anarchic spirit it was going for didn't lift me up. I wish it had, because it's just weird. I'm like, why are we? I don't understand this. I don't understand what the charm of this one is as opposed to the other one.
I don't get it, but definitely let us know down in the comments below why you think we're either totally right or totally wrong. And then Kevin, where can our viewers find you at?
Okay, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. My Twitter is @Kevin_the Critic. I'm sorry, you can find me on X there.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep calling.
Everybody's still calling it Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter.
Find me on Twitter @Kevin_the Critic. Instagram is Kevin the Critic, all one word, and Facebook, Kevin the Critic. You can also find my written reviews on kevinthecritic.com with links to all my socials. I swear, as pessimistic as I sound here, I enjoy talking about movies, like, in being mostly positive. This particular one did not hit with me very much, and I don't get why others are digging it. But yeah, I love talking about movies anytime over there.
Well, this was a great collaboration, and I hope we get to do it again in the future. And Like, let's hope it's with a better movie.
Yes, hopefully, because yeah, that would suck. It's like, well, there's another movie that we both didn't really get.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it's with a better one. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. Have a good day.
Yeah, she sounded like a leader.
I do? Oh, I do! Oh, I sound like such a leader!
And you ruined it.